Hello and welcome back to class. Today I have a shortened list of presidents for you. I'm only going to cover 4 more presidents. These presidents are Grover Cleveland, Benjamin Harrison, William McKinley, and Theodore Roosevelt. So let's get to our first president of the day, Grover Cleveland. The most astounding thing about Grover Cleveland is that he is the only president to have 2 terms, not consecutively. He served 8 years altogether, with 4 years in between when he was out of office. He won his second term with only 10 electoral votes. He was president number 22 and 24. Grover Cleveland had a successful law practice for many years before becoming the Erie County, New York sheriff. He then became the mayor of Buffalo, then the governor of New York. During his first term in office, Grover married Frances and had a child while in office. He became known as the veto president. He vetoed more than twice as many laws as all previous presidents had done before him. During his second term, Grover Cleveland had the Panic of 1893 occur. There were millions of people unemployed, and Cleveland felt the government's role was not to help people harmed by the economy. This was an era of unrest and strikes. President Grover Cleveland signed the Presidential Succession Act, which determined the order of presidency in the event of a president's untimely death. This was not the final say in presidential succession, however. In 1947, another Presidential Succession Act was enacted after FDR's unprecedented and uncompleted 4th term. Grover Cleveland retired to New Jersey and died of a heart attack in 1908. In between President Grover Cleveland's term was President Benjamin Harrison, the grandson of President William Henry Harrison. Benjamin Harrison was from the state of Ohio and attended Miami University. Benjamin Harrison served as Indiana senator before becoming president and argued for the rights of Native Americans and homesteaders. He campaigned for pensions for the Civil War veterans and opposed the Chinese Exclusion Act. He won the election of 1888, even though he lost the popular vote to sitting President Cleveland. During Harrison's term, 6 more states joined the Union. Those states were North Dakota, South Dakota, Washington, Montana, Idaho, and Wyoming. He also advocated for both civil rights legislation and forest conservation. Under his presidency, the Navy expanded as well. He lost his re-election campaign to Grover Cleveland, and shortly thereafter his wife died. Harrison went back to Indianapolis. At age 62, he married his late wife's niece and had a child with her. Yes, this is the time period where we have Grover Cleveland's second term. After Grover Cleveland's second term, we have President McKinley, who grew up in Ohio and was a huge outdoorsman. He was assassinated during his second term and rode an ambulance to the hospital, being the first president to do that as well. McKinley enlisted in the Civil War at age 18 and even served under former President Hayes. He rose to the rank of major by the end of the war. His friends continued to call him Major for the rest of his life. After the war, he began to study law, passed the bar exam, and became a lawyer. Most of McKinley's presidency was focused on the Spanish-American War. After the battleship the Maine blew up in Havana Bay, the United States and Spain went to war. After the conclusion of the war, the United States had control of Cuba, the Philippine Islands, and Puerto Rico. Although we may not see it often, his face is on the $500 bill. President McKinley also annexed the Hawaiian Islands and started the efforts to build the Panama Canal. He also had a pet parrot named Washington Post. McKinley was assassinated only 6 months into his second term. He was assassinated by a Polish immigrant who had anarchist sentiments. He was shot with a .32 revolver. After the shot, bystanders surrounded the shooter and started to beat him up. He survived the ride to the hospital, but died 8 days later. The assassination led to the incredible rise of Vice President Theodore Roosevelt, much to the chagrin of contemporary capitalists who thought nominating Roosevelt for vice president would keep them out of their hair, as the vice president position was not deemed important at the time. They were wrong. Theodore Roosevelt is probably our third most famous president, equal to Washington and Lincoln, at least up to this point in our history. He had been a sickly child, but grew to be strong and served in the Spanish-American War and scaled Matterhorn, which is part of the Swiss Alps. Tragedy struck our 26th president before he was even elected president, when both his wife and mother died on the same day, leaving Theodore with a newborn daughter who he gave to his sister to raise. He then headed out west and fell in love with the wilderness. Roosevelt boxed for Harvard University in the lightweight category and continued to spar throughout his political career. This includes his time at the White House. He was known for inviting his political friends and foes to boxing matches. A match during his time at Harvard left him blind in his left eye. Theodore Roosevelt and future President Franklin Roosevelt were fifth cousins once removed. However, Theodore was Eleanor Roosevelt's uncle and gave her away at her wedding to Franklin, as her father and his brother had died. The wedding took place at the White House in 1905. Roosevelt put a lot of time and effort into the United States Navy. He sent the Navy on a worldwide tour in 1907 to show our strength. Honestly, I could do a whole video or 2 or 3 on Theodore Roosevelt and might do that someday. But here are 3 quick facts to mention. Roosevelt witnessed Abraham Lincoln's funeral processions from his home in New York City as a child. The teddy bear was created and named for him after he refused to shoot a bear who had been caught and tied up to a tree during a hunting trip. And finally, Roosevelt created 150 national forests, 51 federal bird reserves, 4 national game preserves, 5 national parks, and 18 national monuments, covering 230 million acres of public land. Oh, and one more thing. Theodore Roosevelt was almost assassinated. In fact, he was shot on his way to give a speech in his 3rd presidential race. He was in Wisconsin, and after being shot, he continued to give his speech before going to the hospital. So these are the presidents for today's video. I'm so glad you stopped by to watch, and hope you return for more videos. Click like and subscribe. And as always, keep on learning.